George Washington is perhaps one of the most interesting of all American figures. As a soldier, as a statesman, as a president, as an economist, as the father of the country. He started out career-wise as a soldier. As a soldier in Virginia, as somebody who really wanted to be a soldier. He made his reputation early in life in his 20s in the French and Indian Wars. And he wasn't that successful at it. He was still learning. He was a kid. At age 22, he was leading British and American and Indian forces at Fort Necessity, for example, which didn't go well. And he came back from that and was immediately seen as something of a failure, but he turned that failure into a success when he demonstrated to the leadership of Virginia that he was a person of substance, that he was a person who understood a mission and a purpose. And even though he might have failed in this particular action, he was worthy. After many years as head of Virginia's military forces, he then stepped on the stage of world history when he took command of the American Army to fight the British for our independence, having been a British subject for all those years and really wanting respect from the British government. And he started out well. He won in Boston, but then he lost in New York, lost in Long Island. And then he won again when he crossed the Delaware in that famous painting that everybody knows so well. And then he attacked Trenton, and then he lost again. And then he went into Valley Forge. And everybody knows he almost lost a third of his army in the winter at Valley Forge. And so here was a man who learned from failure and how to keep a group of people together to achieve a purpose. And he was able to infuse the Continental Army with a sense of purpose. We're here to create a country. We're here to create a country that's unlike any other country the world has ever seen. And a country that will be respected on the world stage. And then all he wanted to do after that was all over was go home. But it wasn't the case. He stayed home for a few years, and then this meeting was held in Philadelphia in the summer of 1787, a meeting that set us on our course, really, to a new country. And he was asked to preside. He was the chairman of that Continental Constitutional Congress. And it was his presence that kept them working. It was his ability to speak to both sides. It was his ability to get compromise out of this group of individuals that allowed us to have a constitution. He did that with his presence. It wasn't just the men who were there, it was Washington who was there. He left us with important messages. His farewell address is one of the most beautiful documents in American history, and his address to his officers at Fraunces Tavern in New York will always be seen by those of us who are in the profession of arms as a clear signal of what it means to be an officer and the responsibility you have to the nation. But really, it was his putting in place how the United States would operate based on the Constitution. So Washington was a great general, perhaps one of the greatest. Certainly, I think all of my fellow officers would agree. As somebody who's been a diplomat and in political life, I also think he was a great statesman, and he was a great president. On all these touch points, on all these bases, military, political, statesmanship, economics, I think he brought it all together because of his wisdom, because of his ability to think strategically, but most importantly, because his fellow citizens respected and trusted him and wanted to follow him. When it was all over and they wanted him to run for a third term, he said, "That's it. 2 is enough. I'm going home." And that was George Washington.